I was a bit over-optimistic about my cycling abilities. This summer, Rabbi Grunberg and I were planning to have a president and rabbi bonding biking experience. We were going to Poland to do Ride of the Living, where you cycle from Auschwitz to the Krakow JCC Jewish Festival. Although these plans have been postponed, we're going to do it next year, so I continue to train hard. You see, Rabbi Grunberg is an athlete, and I most certainly am not. Friday, a few weeks ago, it was finally warm enough to bike outside. I was on a ride up to Pennsylvania and back on the NCR Trail, and I misjudged how long it would take to get back. Sure enough, it was 6 p.m. and time for Shir Shabbat. I wasn't even close to home. So there was no question what I was going to do. I latched my phone onto my handlebars and logged into Zoom. Speeding down the trail under a gorgeous bright green canopy of trees, I was literally singing Lecha Dodi at the top of my lungs. Somebody from Chizuk messaged me that I was certainly actively participating. In truth, I was experiencing God's creation and welcoming Shabbat in a visceral way like I had never done before. I considered turning off my camera, but for me, participating fully with our community is what Chizuk Amuno is all about. And as a future president of Chizuk Amuno, I was happy to send a message that we have to open our eyes and use every opportunity to be in community, to push the limits of our communal experiences, and to find joy doing it together. We are 149 years young, and we need to be moving forward and finding meaning any and every way we can. Inspired by our past, we must propel ourselves forward, and I was literally doing that. One other thing, Chizuk Amuno is home. It's family. So frankly, I felt perfectly comfortable being myself. So, a little bit about myself. Chizuk Amuno is blessed with so many multi-generational families like Sandy's, where Chizuk Amuno is in their genes. They bring a love for synagogue that's almost inborn. I, on the other hand, bring the perspective of a first-generation Chizuk member. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. suburbs in a conservative synagogue that my parents helped found. I became bar mitzvah in that synagogue on June 7th, 1975, 45 years ago to the day. I'm quite sure that when my rabbi blessed me as taking my place as a responsible member of the Jewish people, I would have never imagined an honor and responsibility in my future as immense as the one before me now, becoming the 35th president of Chizuk Amuno Congregation and Schools. I had a lifelong relationship with my childhood rabbi, Leonard Kahan, until he recently passed away. A mensch and a scholar, Rabbi Kahan, along with my parents, instilled a yearning for synagogue community, and Chizuk Amuno was the synagogue in Baltimore that fulfilled that yearning. We found Chizuk Amuno through our kids, Miriam, Aaron, and Shira, who each attended Krieger Schechter, a day school that has shaped them in ways that will be with them the rest of their lives. Through KSDS, we became part of the greater Chizuk community, and the rest is history. Our kids grew up here, had their Benot Mitzvah here, and almost exactly a year from today, our family will be celebrating our daughter Miriam's wedding, and there's no question that that ceremony will be here in our Chizuk sanctuary. For the past 28 years, I have been blessed with the love and support of my wife, Leslie. My love and admiration for Leslie is endless. I'm a radiologist, a vocation whose skill set doesn't exactly overlap with synagogue leadership. So living with a consummate Jewish communal professional like Leslie is no small asset, just like Rabbi Grunberg said. With her at my side, I know I'll be in good shape. I see Chizuk as family, as home, as refuge, and as a source of spirit and meaning. I hope during my tenure to deepen that feeling among everyone. The shining moments and experiences that I have witnessed over the years have been personal and participatory and reflect on who we are. We are a group of exceptionally talented, educated, artistic, accomplished, philanthropic, and socially aware individuals. We do not check those characteristics at the door. The passion that makes Lou Schoen the best ankle surgeon in the world is the same passion he brings when he blows the shofar every Rosh Hashanah. The passion that Jeff Snyder brings to playing the bass guitar in a local band is the same passion and energy we see when he acts as our gabbai every single Shabbat. And if our purpose, as our mission statement declares, is to find meaning, strengthen faith, and create community, then I'm convinced that we have to roll up our sleeves and do it together, hand in hand. We have to milk our collective passion for all it's worth. One of my proudest moments was standing literally knee-deep in mud with hundreds of us as we built community by building our enormous Chizuk Amuno playground. It wasn't about the playground. It was about us coming together, stretching ourselves to do things we had not imagined ourselves capable of, and providing for our kids, our future. Every one of us who screwed in a bolt, raised a climbing wall, or carved a line from Pirkei Avot over a slide will always feel ownership of each of those forever. And we'll have the warmest feeling when we see our kids, again, our next generation, playing on our community playground. When we had a learning festival, Love to Learn, we didn't bring in outside speakers. We turned to our own, experts on climate change, biblical and Greek scholars, kid you not, and even dance instructors. There's an extra measure of joy in blessing the Torah on a Shabbat morning, knowing that my family and your family put feather to parchment and literally wrote that Torah. The examples of personal experiences that touch people's souls are endless. This includes the Shabbat when our former Gabbai, Phil Nechamowitz, on the 88th anniversary of his bar mitzvah, chanted his Haftorah and gave us 101 years of wisdom in his Devar Torah. Together, we have watched one of our children, actually one of Leslie and my children, grow up and become a young woman right in front of our eyes, singing the Unatana Tokef, the most poignant prayer of the high holidays, year after year. Powerful inspiration comes from these very personal moments, and this is what brings us the most meaning. Chizuk is our home. We cry and kfel for each other. As we approach our 150th year as a congregation, we have to make the most of that precious connected feeling, because who we are and our relationships with each other are our natural resource. I am committed to doing everything I can to facilitate that. I will spend the next 2 years encouraging your input, ideas, creativity, and elbow grease as we move forward together. There is no area where our Chizuk community has worked together more than in educating our next generations. It is no small accomplishment that we have created a Jewish day school, a religious school, a Hebrew high school, and a preschool. In my eyes, these schools are the crown jewels of Chizuk Amuno. The children we educate represent our Jewish future. We must redouble our efforts to bring the life and energy of our school children into our synagogue and the life of our synagogue into our schools. Have no doubt this will take significant effort and creativity. In Rabbi Gruenberg, we have someone who expressed that our schools were what spoke to him most about Chizuk Amuno when he considered becoming our senior rabbi, and he has prioritized the elevation of their status. I intend to do all that I can to partner with him in that mission. Over the past 2 years, under the exceptional direction of Sandy Moffett, we have done the equivalent of turning an aircraft carrier-sized ship and setting on a course for the future. Sandy has used a combination of expert management skills, a collaborative ethos, and an emphasis on transparency to bring us through a period of transition to a place of stability. Sandy guided our staff, our board, multiple committees, task forces, and during her tenure, we have put in place a senior rabbi with vision, authenticity, and an absolute yearning for fostering relationships. Rabbi Gruenberg joins Rabbi Wexler, who has led and inspired us for 20 years, and the clergy team they have formed is exceptional. As an aside, if you didn't hear Rabbi Wexler's sermon on racial justice yesterday, please read it tonight. It's online. Back to Sandy. Sandy recognized Lee Sherman's talents, and he has now become our executive director, committing for at least another year. We have added other critical staff members, adjusted our management procedures, and put our financial house in order with the first balanced budget going forward in years. We have been blessed and elevated musically for generations by Chazan Manny Perlman, and recently by our interim Chazan Joel Lichterman. We now look to Chazan Randy Herman to bring the spirit that only music can to our schools and to our synagogue. We cannot thank Sandy enough for the dedication, skill, and love she has showered on this community her whole life. And in particular, these past several years, her friendship and her mentorship has meant so much to me personally, and I am grateful that due to her efforts, I can now pick up the baton and help to move us ahead. The current pandemic and social unrest has shaken us to our core. But at the same time, it has brought out our resilience, putting a light on what matters most in life and a light on the essence of our Jewish heritage. We must continue to use our communal creativity to preserve our ideals and make our way forward. Incredibly, we almost instantaneously transformed ourselves into a virtual community, both synagogue and schools. This happened and continues to happen through untold, unending hours of dedicated effort by our clergy, educators, and staff. Our synagogue services have often seen higher numbers than pre-pandemic times, and we are continually evolving to connect in more meaningful ways. Lectures, discussions, book talks, virtual happy hours, and everything else we can think of has been partaken of in large numbers. Our educators have endeavored to remain flexible in meeting the vastly different needs of the broad range of students we serve. We have put together a pandemic reemergence committee with hospital CEOs, and that's plural. Did you know, as another aside, that the CEOs of 3 of Baltimore's major hospitals are Chizuk members? Remember what I said about exceptional congregants? Our pandemic committee includes experts in business, education, infectious disease, finance, and a variety of other skills to help us make our way as we sort through this crisis. We have also created a High Holiday Task Force in an effort to put together the most meaningful High Holidays experience that we can. As you know, this is a constantly changing landscape, and we must constantly adjust and do our best to anticipate so we can be the Chizuk we need to be as events unfold. At Chizuk Amuno, we stand on the solid foundation of our storied 149 going on 150-year history. We aren't going to be 150 years old. We will be 150 years young. To continue to grow and remain vital, we must up our game as we explore, participate, and celebrate together. We need the energy and ideas each of us brings to the table. Bring your passion to our collective sanctuary. I'm not talking the physical structure now. My personal and for now virtual door is always open. Let me know where you can find your place, and I'll use every tool I can to foster an environment of yad b'yad, hand in hand, to work together to elevate our community. Everyone should have a sense that we at Chizuk Amuno are home, safe, secure, loved, challenged, and inspired by our beloved community. Yehiyu l'ratzon imrei fi, v'hegyon libi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri v'goali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, our rock and redeemer. Thank you.